So today I am joined on Bump by the lovely Jade, who is mother of all adventures on Instagram, and she is mummy to 5 beautiful, beautiful babies who are always immaculately dressed. I'm very jealous of their style.
Oh, do you know what I am? They always have new clothes, always.
I know. I always feel that though. I'm like that with Cooper. Like he's always got the best wardrobe, and mine is just like, no.
It's really, sometimes I think if people could see me behind the camera when I'm taking photos of the kids, you'd be like, wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I see where the effort's gone.
Yeah. That's where the money goes.
Oh, dear. So we're going to talk today about Raulf, who is he your third?
He was the third, yeah.
He was the third. And he was premature, wasn't he, Raulf?
Yeah, he was born at 30 weeks. So he was he was really early.
So what did Raulf weigh when he was born?
He was just over 1 pound.
I know. My gosh, he was teeny.
Because when he was prem, we thought, right, 30 weeks, he's not going to be tiny.
Yeah.
But when he was born, there was an undetected growth deformity with him.
Oh, okay.
So they didn't know he was going to be that tiny at all. And when he came out, because I'd still delivered like naturally and normal, all went okay. But when he came out, all his skull hadn't even like joined together. It wasn't sealed. So his skull was still like, there's still like millimeters between each like section. Oh, so when he was born, he suffered with a brain hemorrhage and a bleed to the brain. And he was really poorly. He was in hospital for 10 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was long.
Wow, that is such a long time. And at that point, so basically what we're talking about today, just so people are aware, is that Raulf has he been fully diagnosed with autism?
So he's still going through some checks, but the initial diagnosis is there. But there's still some remaining things that are going on. And also, I think people that have children with autism will know that often there's other things that will go along with it. There will be other underlying things. Like, for example, we think Raulf might have Tourette's.
Oh, really?
Not in the sense of speech, but in the way of tics. So he'll do these really, really, like, sometimes he scares the living daylights out of me, like really high-pitched screams. Oh, and he does them really, but when he's really calm, that's when they come out. But I mean, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, Raulf, what is that? And he really...
They come out when he's calm.
It's always when he's the most quiet. If he's just sitting, like playing a game, or if he's looking at something, then it will just come out like really high-pitched scream.
And what, so what was the first kind of thing that alerted you?
Okay, so I'll go back to when he was born, because of his brain hemorrhage and the bleed and all the brain scans, we actually got pulled into the office when he was about a week old, and they gave us all these different outcomes that could happen because of the bleed, and autism was one of them. Right. So we've kind of always been a bit like on edge and a bit on the lookout and a bit, I don't know, maybe sometimes a bit too like, oh my God, is this the start of it? But yeah, so when he was 2, that's when I first noticed something wasn't quite the same as the others, because obviously I had the 2 children. And it was actually when I'd had Edie. So she was a baby. And then that's when I started noticing it, how he was interacting with her and little things that he would do to himself whilst I was with the baby. So what health visit.
What type of things, Jade?
Yeah, he would hurt himself. So he'd bite himself or he'd himself. Yeah, like really, really odd little things that the others never did. Hello. And
who's joined
so those were
who's that?
It's Edie, and she's just done her makeup. So
well, you just look beautiful. Fabulous makeup. We're talking about your brother.
Yeah, we're talking about Raulf.
Why?
Oh, because he's interesting. So then I spoke to my health visitor. I raised all the concerns, and she made a couple of like extra trips in between weighing Edie.
Yeah.
Kitty, you go. And she then started to notice. So she would stay for like a whole hour and just like watch.
Just observe.
And then, and then she started to notice a few things. Oh my God. And then he started preschool, and then the teachers started to notice a few things, and that's when the ball started rolling.
And so what other, are there anything else? So obviously he would hurt himself, and the tics, which are quite a new thing, and like the clothes. Was there anything else that was like blaringly obvious now you know?
So we can't change. So say we go to a very similar place like every week.
Yeah.
For example, we go to Greenwich Park quite a lot, and we go for a walk, and we always go the same way.
Yeah.
And the other week we decided, should we go down this way? Like just between me and Sax, we said, should we go down these steps today?
Yeah.
And as we started walking down, Raulf just stopped, and he went really quiet, and he went, this isn't the way. We can't go this way. And he just turned around and he just ran like the other way.
Really?
And very much like that. Even if we visited a place once and say we've gone down this way to go somewhere and we go another way home, he remembers the way we came, and we have to go that way.
Really? So quite structured with like his routine.
Really.
So where are you at with it all with Raulf now then?
So he's at the same school as Melly.
Yeah.
And they used to be able to play in the playground together at lunchtimes, which before lockdown, and I really loved that. And I'll tell you a story actually that's just happened today that made me cry on the way home. The year groups are not allowed to blend anymore at playtime.
Oh.
Leave each other. So Melly and Raulf used to play with each other at break.
Yeah.
But they're not because of COVID.
Oh.
And today on the way home, I was walking past the school and I saw a red coat, and Ralph's got a big like puffer red coat. And I said, oh, Melly, I said, Edie, look, there's Raulf. So I looked through the fence and I could just see him sat all by himself with his head down.
Yeah, and I think
all by himself. And I thought to myself, shall I shout to him and wave, or shall I not? And I thought, you know what, I'm going to say hello because he's all by himself. So I shouted and I went, Alfie, and I thought, oh my God, I hope no one sees me shouting in.
Yeah,
and he gave me this massive smile and he went, I want to come home.
Oh no.
And I started crying. I thought, why did I shout to him?
Oh,
and he just sat down. I found it so hard just to walk past and go home. It was so hard.
That's absolutely heartbreaking. And how have you found other adults? Because I imagine they're maybe the hardest people to deal with when Raulf's maybe having a bit of a moment.
Yeah, I just find they stare. And sometimes, like in my moment, if I'm having a moment with Raulf, I haven't got the time to think to myself, right, they might be looking at me because they feel bad or they want to help or they understand. Because in that moment, I'm thinking they're staring at me because they think, wow, what a bad kid.
Yeah.
But if I go home and I think maybe they were going to help me. So now if I walk past a mum and a child and they're having a meltdown, I'm always really smiling. I'm not crying. Stop crying.
Oh, stop crying. Give her a cuddle, easy.
You know what? If she sees me crying, even if it's happy tears, she goes, Mum, stop crying, okay? And she rubs her eyes. And now she says to me, now she goes, is it happy tears? Before she rubs my eyes.
She? Cooper said to me the other day, Mummy's sad. And I was like,
doesn't it make you like feel even sadder that they've noticed that?
Yeah, it really does.
Feel sometimes that they've noticed I'm sad. I'm like, oh my God, fine.
No, I'm fine. Stiff upper lip, everything's okay. Yeah. Can't show you my weaknesses.
Now
you're back, Mum.
I think, thank you. So now I think I'm a lot more aware and a lot more open-minded about other kids having meltdowns in the street.
Yeah. So if you could give someone seeing a child potentially with autism having a bit of a meltdown, you could give anyone advice, what would be helpful to you? Would it just be a smile? Would it be them trying to help?
I would smile. I would say, for me, I wouldn't want anyone to try and help, because I know that it would make Raulf worse.
The situation worse.
And I know he would then... what he would do is, because I know what it is, if I'm having it with him and Cirque's trying to help, he then projects it all onto the other person. So I know if a stranger would come and try and help, he would then chuck something at them.
Right.
And that would just not... But if I look and I notice someone, a smile always makes me feel better, because it's not them looking like just looking and walking away. So just a smile, like a long kind of smile, like, it's fine, like, we got you kind of thing, like that would be the helpful thing.
And I'm very aware of the time, because I do not want you to miss picking up your children. But lastly, if there's any parents out there thinking, oh, I wonder if my child is on the spectrum, what would be your advice? Like, what would you suggest for them to do?
I would say straight away, even if they're 2 or 3 or 4 or 15, because they can be older, and you could suddenly think something. Like, I know someone that said they were 30 and they got diagnosed at 30 years old.
Wow.
Like, and I would say just go to the school, raise your concerns, or the nursery, or whoever it is, because they will note it down. So if you raise your concerns at nursery, they will then pass it on to preschool, they will then pass it on to the school. So as early as you sense it, just note it, or even at home, diary, and note all your things. So then when they do start school, you can hand the notes to the head teacher and be like, this is what we've noticed.
Yeah.
And they will carry it out, and they will notice it for you.
Yeah. That's a really good bit of advice. Like, I would never have known even the first thing to do in that situation. So thank you for sharing.
Well, do you know what? I'm still learning. And like, when we first had this with Raulf, I was using all the wrong words. Like, I was calling him, I was saying he's not normal. And like, I was getting people message me saying, don't use the word normal. And I'd feel really bad. And then I was just like, well, I'm learning. Like, I don't know what words to use. I'm just speaking out on how I'm feeling at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't use the word normal as much anymore, but sometimes it still comes out, because that's just you expressing, and you can't, you can't think and stop your emotions. So
you can't filter yourself, can you, Jade?
Yeah. I would just say, don't worry about what you're saying, because it needs to come out. You need to get it out.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's your child that you're talking about as well. So you're never going to be saying it in a vicious or negative way. It's just kind of, you're learning.
Yeah, exactly.
But thank you so much for sharing your story. Really, really appreciate you talking so openly about it.
Oh, thank you. It's so important, because... Oh, okay. Okay. You can say bye.
Bye. Bye, Edie. It was nice to see you.
Because you just want to raise awareness. So.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Jade.
No, thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Say we love you.
We love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.